So I just saw Thor Ragnarok, and my god, what a piece of shit movie. I mean, besides the fact that it had great action, great comedy, great writing, beautiful cinematography, great performances, great script, great director, and just great almost everything. You know why I hate this movie? The fact that Daryl isn't in it. You know, the guy from the 3-minute YouTube video that was released a year ago? Yeah. I hated the movie because he wasn't in it. But no, for real though, it was great. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh god, another movie review. Do something else. Yeah, well, I kind of want to talk about this movie though. I promise something different will come. Maybe a vlog or a skit soon, hopefully, I don't know. But I just have to talk about this movie first, so yeah, it'll be a short video, I promise, if you don't like these movie reviews, but too bad, I want to do them, because I love movies. Thor Ragnarok was... actually, before I talk about Thor Ragnarok, I feel like I have to talk about the other Thor movies first. They were fine. They weren't the best Marvel movies, but they were pretty good. Here's the thing about Marvel movies. None of them are terrible. None of them, are at all awful, but there are weaker ones. And the Thor movies are kind of, in the weaker zone. The first Thor movie was pretty good. I liked it. Natalie Portman was kind of in it, and Kat Dennings was in it, but it was fine. I liked it when I first saw it, and I saw it twice, I think. But this movie kind of makes me want to rewatch it again, just because how good it was. And then Thor 2 was just it was okay. It was serviceable. It was passable. There was less Natalie Portman, which I appreciated, but there was too much Kat Dennings. Oh, God. And the Dr. Selvig guy, what's that actor's name? I forgot. The thing is, the second Thor movie was just very forgettable. I even forgot there was a villain at one point. It was kind of, that's how bad not bad, but just how forgettable it was. And it just felt like no one was really excited for another Thor movie after the second one. But we got another Thor movie, and it was pretty amazing. Honestly, this is probably one of the most fun I've had in the theater this year. I know I said that last time, but my first movie review, but it was pretty fun. So let's talk about the goods of this Thor movie first. Let's talk about the director, Taika Waititi. He's a great director. He directed For the Wilder People, which is hilarious and awesome and amazing. And Marvel finally got a good director to direct a Thor movie. And, well, not the other ones weren't good, but they just weren't the right one they needed for Thor. They finally got Thor right to me. And that is something I can appreciate. It was very different from the other Thor movies, especially in tone. Which I liked a lot. We've got a lighter Thor, but he still had the same morals as always, but he was funnier, more charismatic, and more likable. I mean, Thor in the other movies was just Thor, the big brute who didn't always think, but they changed him a lot in this movie, and that really worked for his character. So let's start off with the acting from everyone, and the acting in this movie is pretty great. Everyone did an amazing job. No one really stole the show for me, but because everyone kind of stole the show, if that makes sense. Everyone did a great job. The villain was pretty good. It was one of the best Marvel villains. If I were to rank them, the good ones at least, or the more memorable ones, it would have to be, I think, Vulture first. Vulture first, then Loki, then Hela, then Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy. Hela was the villain of this movie, by the way. Then Ego after her, and I think the villain from Civil War. What was his face? Crap, that's not very memorable. If you can't remember his name, Zemo. That's what it was. Zemo. Yeah, he was. I kind of liked him. So yeah, the villain was good. Everyone was good in this. And what really surprised me was the comedy in this movie. I thought the comedy was going to be fine, like every Marvel movie is, well, for some, but This movie is probably the funniest Marvel movie I think I've ever seen. In fact, it kind of like goes a little too far sometimes in terms of comedy. Not like the comedy isn't bad, but in this movie there are just jokes non-stop, rapid fire. I'm laughing too hard at one joke that I missed the joke they tell me 5 seconds later. I mean, that's what I feel like they could have done better, so I can hear all the jokes in this movie. All right, what else? The writing was very good in this. There were a few problems. I'll get to that in the bads of the movie, but the writing was great. Great story, great character development, great lines, great comedy. Like I said before, like very great lines actually. There are a lot of memorable lines in this movie. I can remember a few off the top of my head, but I won't tell them because I want you to see it. Oh yeah, the cinematography. The thing with Marvel movies is they're kind of bland when it comes like to, you know, showing like something visual in terms of a movie. The Marvel movies that have done good with this, the cinematography wise, would have to be the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Iron Man. That's about it, really. So yeah, this is probably some of the best cinematography and use of color in the MCU, because Guardians of the Galaxy, like, kind of, and like I said again, Marvel doesn't really have a lot of a good color palette in their movies. They're kind of bland and boring to look at, but that's something that kind of Guardians improved on. It's something that this movie improved on. I think Spider-Man improved on as well. And I think it will be a huge improvement from here on out. Something also that this movie improves on from the other Marvel movies is the score of this movie. Some of the Marvel movies don't have a memorable kind of score or a theme. Some of the Marvel movies don't have a memorable theme or a score most of the time, but some that do would have to be, you know, the Avengers movies. They have like a pretty memorable. The Avengers theme is probably one of the most memorable in the entire franchise. The Spider-Man movies, they have like a great theme for Spider-Man, the Vulture, and like the opening, you know, Spider-Man theme in the beginning. I really love that. I couldn't remember the themes for the Thor movies or Captain America. Well, the first one, and a few other movies too. I can remember the Iron Man theme. I always thought the Iron Man theme was the no, that's not the theme of the movie. I thought that was, because that's a memorable theme for Iron Man, but that's not the theme of the movie. This movie has a very unique and memorable kind of soundtrack. I bought the soundtrack actually because I could see me using that music for videos, because like that's how like good it was. It was very different. It was very retro. That's something I loved about this movie. It was very Guardians-esque. It had like this retro feel to it, and it worked. The special effects, for the most part, were pretty great too. Now, for the most part, this is where it's leading to the bad of the movie. Okay, so this is the bad of the movie now. That's where we're going right now. The green screen of this movie is pretty bad, but in its own way, it kind of works for this movie. And it's, cheesy retroness. I mean, it kind of works, but there are a few shots in this movie that just took me out of it. Like, oh god, it looks pretty bad. But again, in its own way, it worked for the movie. In its tone and its style, it kind of worked, but it still took me out. I mean, if you could have done a better job. This is like a $200 million movie. There was a little bit too much comedy. The comedy, all the comedy was good. Some of it didn't land as well. It was still funny, but it didn't land as well. It just felt like they could have put some space in between the comedy, because I wanted to catch my breath so I can hear the next joke. Because literally, they tell a joke, I'm laughing, then while I'm laughing, they're already telling the next joke, and I'm double laughing, and I'm trying to like listen to the story as well. And that's a minor complaint. What else? Karl Urban was in this movie, and he's a great actor. He was in the movie Dread, which was goddamn fantastic. But he just wasn't used enough. I wish he was. I'm gonna get into some spoilers right here, just minor, but so, skip right here. Click this if you want to skip to where there isn't spoilers. So, yeah. It's kind of obvious that Karl Urban's character, Scourge, he was never really a bad guy. That in the trailers, it made him look like he looked like a bad guy, but it's kind of obvious that he's just this guy who just, like, you know, wants to do his job, wants to impress the ladies, and just, you know, be this cool guy everyone kind of likes, I guess. But then when Hela shows up, she appoints him as his executioner. And you kind of tell, like, he's like, oh yeah, this would be so cool, this could be the best job ever. But then, you know, it's just, you can tell that he's not really up for it. He doesn't like, you know, killing people. He doesn't want to be an executioner. And you can kind of tell that at one point he's gonna, you know, sacrifice himself or, you know, stand up to Hela. But, you know, he did the best that he could with what he was given. But, you know, I just wish there was more of him. And speaking of more of someone, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, first of all, she was great in it. But I just wish there, like, you know, a little bit more to her. Her story is that she is part of this elite army from Asgard called the Valkyrie, and she's one of them. She is the only Valkyrie to survive the a massacre that Hela brought on to the Valkyrie. She killed all the Valkyrie except for her. And I was thinking through this whole thing that she's gonna have her moment, like, you know, that this revenge moment. This is for my fallen sisters or something like that, but they didn't have that, and I just wish they did. You know, it just like, oh, okay, so she didn't really get her revenge, you know. But, you know, that's just a minor thing too. I just wish we could see more of her, and I liked her character too. She was really great in this, but I just wish I could see more of her. Like that one, just 5 more minutes of, like, this was for my sisters, you know, like, in 5 minutes of her trying to defeat Hela but can't because Hela is ridiculously strong. But, you know, something like that would have been great. Oh, before I continue any of the bad, I just remembered, this is part of the good now. Yeah, the spoiler talk is done. The side characters in this movie, Korg mostly, was goddamn amazing. I absolutely loved Korg in this movie. He is probably, I think, you know, actually, I think he stole the show from me. Not as much, but I kind of wish I saw more of him. But, you know, Korg and Meek doesn't say much. They're both characters from the Planet Hulk storyline, which they kind of use well. I'll get to that stuff later. But Korg was just a delight. He was amazing. Meek didn't say anything, but he was still kind of funny, I guess. But Korg was just absolutely amazing. He was the best. I think he was one of the best characters in this movie. He was voiced by Taika Waititi, the director. And Taika Waititi said that he wanted to base Korg off of Polynesian bouncers. They're these big, huge guys, but they have this really soft voice. They're, like, kind of carrying people, like, very, very nice and gentle. And that's what Korg is, and that's what I loved about it. This, like, you know, this contradiction to the stereotypical big buff guy character. Before I continue the bad, I gotta say again, all the actors, all the Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Tom Hiddleston, Cate Blanchett, Mark Ruffalo, they all did amazing jobs. They all had, like, chemistry. Well, you know, the ones who worked together. Loki was great in this. Cate Blanchett was, like, one of the best Marvel villains I've seen, and the first Marvel female villain too, which is nice, which is really good. And she was intimidating. Jeff Goldblum too. Oh my God, what he does. Jeff Goldblum things that you expect from Jeff Goldblum, like, you know, like, you know, talks like this with his hands a lot, and, like, you know, like, oh, lovely. I love that. I could watch that for hours, days on end, and I never get tired of it. It's just so Jeff Goldblum, and it's amazing. And I want to see more of him too, because, you know, he's technically a villain, and I want to see more of him in future installments. Okay, so back to the badish. Like, again, like I said, nothing in this movie is bad in any way or terrible, but it's just, you know, misused. The end credit scenes in this movie. So the post-credit scene was a little bit underwhelming, but I still figured out what was happening, and I was kind of like, oh my God, is that who I think it is? So basically, Thor and Loki are looking for a new place to put the Asgardians, because Surtur caused Ragnarok. Because Surtur, the big eyebrow guy, the big horn guy, he caused Ragnarok, and that's a prophecy basically where every 1,000 years this Asgard will die or something like that. I don't know, but that's the prophecy, and it has to happen, or else, you know, Hela, the goddess of death, will come and kill everyone. So Surtur destroys Ragnarok, and Loki and everyone else are looking for a new home for the Asgardian. But in the end credits scene, they're like, you know, looking for a new place, and then this huge spaceship shows up in the background, and we're like, holy crap, is that Thanos? And then it just ends. Okay, I was, you know, it would have been maybe too much, but I would have loved to see, you know, just like, you know, Thanos standing in the, like, in a window, like, looking down at the ship and just, like, you know, cackling evilly or just smiling, like, with this ominous music playing. That would have been awesome. I would have, like, lost my mind. Then the last one, it shows Jeff Goldblum coming out of a spaceship after the rebellion that happened on Sakaar. And he's like, oh, yeah, good job, everyone. Good job leading this rebellion. You know, it takes two sides, like, to call it a rebellion and stuff like that. And let's call this it was funny. But again, it was kind of underwhelming. You know, Marvel movies are taking this big risk now with their post-credit scenes. It's just a slap across the face. First, it was the Spider-Man Homecoming end credits with, you know, Captain America and stuff like that, which was, oh man, Deadpool even with his Ferris Bueller homage. And then this movie, we're expecting like this teaser for Black Panther or Infinity War, and we just get slapped across his face, but we still eat it up and love it anyway. So yeah, that's my short little review. I know you're probably sick of these reviews by now, but so what? I'm gonna still do them. But I promise I'll upload more stuff too. But yeah, watch this movie. It's hilarious. Just a fun time in general. And I will see this movie again. I will definitely see this movie again. But you know, now for the rating, you know, it's kind of like, you know, maybe, I don't know. I think I have to see it again to give a, you know, a final verdict. But it's either an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 because I don't know. It's just, you know, I think I have to see it one more time to, like, you know, finally, you know, get a good feeling about my rating. And yeah, but yeah, watch the movie. You know, I said that already. Follow my stuff, and please subscribe and share. I need to get money to help pay the rent. You know, I got. But yeah, bye, I guess.